Today on the Justice Court, the plaintiff, Emmanuel Ojukwu, is suing Mazi for the sum of 380,000 naira, being the money he collected for a printing job he did not execute.
All rise. Court in session. Honorable Judge Fumi Asaolu presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, this case is between Mazi, Ome, and Ojukwu. Parties sworn on oath.
Thank you, Akin.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Mazi. And you are Ojukwu. So, I learned you had an altercation outside. Who went after the other?
I.
Why? You brought the matter to court and you still went after a jungle justice approach.
I'm sorry for that because
it's okay. Your apology is taken.
Thank you.
So can you narrate to me what happened while you are in court?
Okay. Mr. Mazi was a friend. He's into printing. I had a friend of mine that we've known for a very long time. A burial occurred in his place, in his father's house, as his father passed on. And he called on me and said, okay, what assistance can I do for him? I said, I have a friend that does printing, and he's very good. I've given him 2 jobs that he delivered perfectly. Let's try him. He said, trying him is not a problem, but will he deliver? I said, yes. But he has done 2 jobs I know very well. Lo and behold, he said I should call him. I called him on phone. I called Mr. Mazi on phone. So Mazi went ahead and said, okay, no problem. That we should give him 2 days. What do we need? I said, okay, Mr. Emeka, what do you need him to do the printing on? He said the banner, the brochure they are going to use, the magazine, and the gift items, the minor gift items, that the picture and the name and every other thing that requires will be there. We all agreed. The total money was 420,000. Oh, and behold, we didn't put anything into writing because of who he is, the way we know each other. The first job you did, there was no writing. Second job, no writing. So I see no reason why the person you know too well, that you need to put a job you're giving to him into writing. Now, when I went to Mr. Meka's house, Mr. Meka gave me 380,000 to balance 40,000 when he's done with the job. I got to the office. I called Mr. Mazi. He said he's not around. I said, okay, I'm going to Alaba to get something. Alaba International to get something. Maybe on my way back, I will let you know that I'm coming back, so you stop over and pick and collect the money. So when I came back, I called Mr. Mazi. He came around. I gave him the money, 380,000. I pleaded with him. This one is not a matter of Mr. Meka being around. I called him one-on-one. Mr. Mazi, talk to me as your fellow man. Can this job be ready when? Mr. Mazi said I should give him 2 weeks. I said 2 weeks. I don't drag people by their jobs. I give you freedom to do your job, but keep to my time frame. He said 2 weeks. 2 weeks is certain. Oh, and behold, I gave him the money. He counted. Said it's complete. I said, okay. 3 days' time, I called Mr. Mazi. His phone was not going. That was in the morning. Towards evening, I called him again. His number went through. Mr. Mazi, how far? Are you done? Can I have the demo of what you want to do so I can show Mr. Emeka? He said that I had an urgency that is out of Lagos, that will be coming back in 2 days' time, that he has prepared it already, that when he comes back, he will bring it. I said, this one is, you're now beginning to tell stories. I told Mr. Mecca. Mr. Mecca said, no problem. Ever since, printing does not take time. The main thing that takes time is you designing, doing the design. So 2 days later, 2 days after, I called Mr. Mazi. His number was not going through. I went to his house. They said he's not around, that he has not been around for the past 1 week. Mr. Mecca called me and said, what is happening? I said, be patient, that we'll get this job. That Mazi is somebody I trust very well. I was even siding him, trying to make things easy, not knowing that Mr. Mazi has disappeared with the money. For 3 months, we were unable to see Mazi. Me personally, everywhere I know I used to see him, I can't find him anywhere. I now called Mr. Mecca. I said, okay, fine. Please, if there's any way you can raise another money, I will leave my job. I'll make sure I follow you so we can achieve this thing, this printing. Mr. Mecca was telling me he has no money. That is the only son. I said, I know you're the only son. Please just find a way to raise this money so we can do something about it. I said, okay, fine. On my own, I'll bring out 100,000 to support. Raise the remaining one, let's go. So when I brought out the 100,000, he said, no problem. He called me on a Saturday and said, can we go ahead for the job? I said, no problem, I'm free. Went out, make research. As God may have it, we finally got somebody. He got the job done. We went for the burial. Came back from the burial. Mr. Mecca is always on my neck. What about his money? Where is Mazi? I said, we will get Mazi. I sent 2 of my friends that knows him very well. Wherever you see him, don't even do as if I'm looking for him. Give me a call. Let me pick it up. Let me pick him up by myself. Till one day, he sent me a text. Mr. Mazi sent me a text. He has family problem. He has accommodation problem. He has this problem. I didn't reply that text. I kept quiet. 2 days later, I just called him and said, wherever you are, just come, let's see. So we can talk this thing man to man. You're running away. I'm facing the problem. I thought I was talking to a normal human being, not knowing the text was just to bring my temper down and nothing else. 2 days, I didn't see him, no text, his number was not going. If he changed number, I never knew. So one day, I came across a friend, Chidozie by name. He said, why not involve police in this thing? I said, if I involve police, if police finally gets Mazi, the money will not be complete. And the manner is going to pay the money, only God knows. I need to see Mazi one-on-one. Last week, I got a call from Justice Court, not knowing that Mr. Mecca has gone to table my matter. Oh, and behold, when I got to this honorable court this morning, I saw Mr. Mazi. I called him out. Can you just tell me exactly what happened? He said, there is nothing he can say. I said, but you need to tell me. As you're telling me, have it in mind that we're in court. When we're done, you will pay me that money. Because I cannot pay for what I did not eat. If the money was under my custody, if I was the one that embezzled or that spent that money, If I'm paying it, I will know I'm paying out of my sweat. I can't pay for what I did not eat. That my 100,000 is at stake. I can't ask Mr. Maker of it because I need to get you to get my money. Thank you, my Lord.
All right. So, Maxi, let me hear from you.
He had been a friend we've known for a couple of years now. And he knows I own a printing press, not just a printing shop. I had equipment. I had equipment worth over 20 million naira. I wasn't a roadside printer. My printing press, which he knows too well, is at Mushin there. My brand name is a well-known name there at Mushin. I've not been looking for customers that I would defraud in order not to dent my personal name or the name of my company. He contacted me concerning this man, Oga Emeka, that the father passed on, and he wanted some printing jobs done. I told him he knows what we are capable of doing, and we will deliver. My boys started the job, but that same week, what I did not pray that it will happen to my enemy happened to me. I have evidences to prove all this, but I didn't come with them. I never knew maybe it may be necessary to tender them.
Comfort, luxury, style, class, tranquility, and nature. The ideal home for today's game changers has all these and more. Looking for more? Then look no further than Master's Villa. An ultra-modern luxury estate nestled in the very heart of the Lekki Peninsula. The avant-garde architectural styles of our homes and villas reflects a lifestyle that is both exclusive and intuitive. So, are you looking for more? Then look no further than Pasino Homes and Gardens. Call us today on these numbers. Pasino Homes and Gardens, your choice today.
A week after they gave me money to start these jobs, my UBA bank account was hacked by fraudsters. I have this policy of automatically switching off my phone by 12 midnight, and it will switch on itself by 5 on the dot. I programmed my phone. 5 a.m., my phone came up. I was already awake, still in bed. Text messages were entering my phone.
When did you switch it off?
It switches itself off automatically by 12.
12 midnight?
Yes.
Okay.
I programmed it. I placed it on setting. So by 12, it will go off on its own. By 5 a.m., it will come up. I was still in bed at 5 a.m., but already awake. Several text messages were entering my phone. I felt it was a message I could check later, but after the fourth, fifth message tone coming in, I decided to check who is sending all these messages. Only for me to see debit alerts entering my phone. That morning alone, over 4 million naira went out from my account, UBA account. I didn't do any transaction that requires debiting me that amount. All the materials that my boys need to buy to attend to him and other customers, the people selling our printing materials are all there within us at Mushin there. It's easy for me to supply the material, and I do transfer for the materials, the papers, and whatever we bought. I didn't do any transaction involving all this. That was how millions of naira left my account that morning. I got to the bank. I showed them the debit alert. I said I didn't do all these transactions. What is happening? They turned their system and faced me and said, according to their system, that I was the one doing the transactions. I said, what transaction did I do in the midnight? What kind of transaction? Am I doing money laundering or what? Why didn't I send money to anybody before I go to bed? Why midnight? Why am I awake in the midnight doing transactions to anybody? They asked me to write. I filled the form. They asked me to come back in a week time. I said, okay. I got home that same night, woke up the next morning, and was still receiving debit alerts. And that 2-9, that was how over 6 million.
When you went to the bank, you didn't ask them to shut it down.
I told them to do this. I went back this next morning again, that I still received debit alert over 2 million, and that was how the whole.
And you didn't, do you have another bank account?
Yes, I do.
So when you went to the bank to make that complaint, you didn't deem it right for you to move all the money in that account to another one?
I told them to stop whatever that is going on, that they should stop whatever transactions. So I still had some little money left in my Diamond Bank account. And the whole of that day, I didn't use UBA. I used Diamond Access to do all my transactions, and I got my debit alerts. Only to wake up the next morning again, seeing another debit alert. In the midnight, they were just withdrawing my money. And I woke up that morning to get an empty account. I went back to the bank. They told me that the system shows that I am the one doing transactions.
Wow.
Just a minute. You still talk. Let him round off.
That was what happened. Along the line, I couldn't explain to him what another customer spoke. I couldn't explain to him and other customers what happened to me. The period he was looking for me, including other customers, where he couldn't get me. I spent over a week at Panti. I was locked up by a customer. A school on the island. The man gave me a very big job to do that period. Their school calendars, their sportswear, and whatever, amounting millions. I told him I still delayed. I disappointed the man, and before I knew, people from Panti, they came to my press, arrested me, arrested my manager. I found a way for them to bail my manager. Let me bear the consequence. I was detained at Panti for over a week. I had to write an undertaking that I will pay. Almost 2 weeks I was in their custody. As we speak right now, my printing press is no more. I sold off the whole machines at a terrible rate, just for me to offset some debts. The next news I will hear is along our street there at Mushin, that our shops are along the way and they will demolish it. This is a shop I bought. I have not on rentage on that shop. I had no other option than to go into hiding. Right now, I reside at Mowe in an uncompleted building. I don't have money to pay anybody at the moment. I can't afford to pay him. I can't afford to pay the rest people because I've sold every property I know I own. That's all that happened.
The plaintiff, Emmanuel, helped Mazi to secure a printing job from a friend and facilitated the payment of 380,000 naira deposit for the job. The job was not done, the deposit has not been returned, and his friend, Emeka, is holding him accountable for Mazi's breach of contract. The defendant, Mazi, claims that his bank account was hacked after he received payment for the job, and hackers made away with about 6 million naira customers' money in his custody. Mazi said he is bankrupt and not able to make any payment at this time. George Fumi wades into this matter.
Okay. Ever since you know such thing happened, at least we used to see. Not all time, but once in a week. Did you bother calling me to tell me, okay, Mr. Emma, this is my problem. You decided to take laws or do things the way you want. My anger is, I don't have BP, but I developed BP. I can't pay for what I didn't eat. If you walk to me and tell me this problem is what you have, I would have known what to discuss with Mr. Emeka. Somebody that has life is somebody that has hope. But you running into hiding will not do you any good. But rather, you made me lose so many customers that are meant to come to my hand through Mr. Emeka.
Just give me some time, I will pay.
Give you some time when? Have you come to ask me how I do sleep? I'll wake up, I have Lexotan in my house, I have Moderatic in my house. At this age, if I go to bed, I must take Lexotan for me to sleep.
Now, I'll start with you. You've learned the hard way. Any transaction you go into, don't ever, I always say it, don't ever mix business with friendship. You treat business the way business should be. When you took him down to Emeka, let them have their agreements. If you now choose to be a guarantor, it's a different thing entirely. The mere fact you've introduced him to Emeka to get the business does not mean you have to be the guarantor. You understand that very well.
I understand.
You could have brought in another guarantor. But because you have done 2 previous transactions with him and there was no hitch, does not mean that's the way to always go. That's from your end. Then, Mazi, you know what you came to do in court today, right? Before you stepped in, when you were invited, you are aware about the matter. The first thing you ought to have done is to at least to show something to back up all this your claim. They withdrew money from your account several times. Or do you have evidence on your phone? At times, you have debit alert on our phone.
I actually deleted most of them. The the printed documents, I want them off because the more I come across these records, I'm already hypertensive.
Well, you could have gone to the bank, print it out. Anyway, you said you want to pay. When do you want to start? When do you want to start? We're talking about how much?
380,000.
When do you want to start? You have to give him an idea of when you start and how much. No matter how small, no matter how big, you have to start somewhere.
I don't have a dime right now. I don't have hope. Can you please give me some time, even if it is next year?
Giving
This
you
year is
some
already
time,
gone.
giving you some time is a problem because Mr. Emeka, I don't know how he's going to feel. Even right while I'm here, he called me. I said, thank God I finally seen Mazi, that we'll have a way out of getting the money.
Now, I want to come in. You mentioned next year. When are you looking at next year?
Maybe March.
March, how much do you want to start paying from March?
Maybe 100,000.
Pardon?
Maybe 100.
100,000 naira in March. Let me tell you, be very, very careful of what you say in the courtroom. Don't think because you are under one pressure, then you find yourself in another problem. Be very realistic because whatever you say, you have to comply with it. I'm not saying you should not advance 100,000 naira. If he accepts to collect 100,000 naira by installments.
Let me be on the safe side if I can pay 50.
50 in March.
Yes.
So after that, every month, how much do you want to be paying thereafter?
Maybe 20 or 30. 20,000, please. Let me rally around and pay 20,000 every month.
Mr. Mazi, I will not say no, and I will not say yes, because 50,000 naira you're talking about now, it took me a couple of months to hear from you, and now you're giving hope of 50,000 in the courts. What of by March if you're nowhere to be found?
I will pay. I will pay. It's a promise.
If you know you will pay, you would have done the same thing by confronting me when this problem came up.
Let me come in. The court reached out to him and he came out. He had issues, according to him, even though, well, he wept and everything, he knows best. He probably had issues. Now we're where we are. And he's in court. So if it's acceptable to you, you let me know. If it's not acceptable to you, then you let me know.
My honor, he said he will pay 50,000 in March. And pay 20 or 30,000. How much do you say? 20 every month. If 50,000 is being paid out of 380,000, it remains about 330,000. Of which 20,000 will take about extra 2 years to be paid. And definitely, what is the value of that money? It's not going to be useful. I suggest you should think of a better thing to say than this. Thank you, my Lord.
I don't know what to say again because you were even the one that first told me that he's cutting. You told me that yourself. And the court dragged him out, even though we've not seen him all this while. And you can be sure that the court can always reach him anytime. I'm just addressing those two issues that you mentioned earlier on. Then on the repayment plan, That's his offer. That is only the two of you that can resolve that between yourself for now. If you can't, then I'll come in. So he said 20,000 naira is not acceptable to him on a monthly basis. He wants you to push it up.
I will beg to be on the safe side so that I don't want to promise what I can't. Not that any month that I have more than that, I can equally pay. If I have over that 20, I surely will still pay it. But let me promise what I know I could still try to pay.
You know why you're having problem with him? It's just because of the fact that you disappeared. That's why he's scared you are going to disappear again.
I won't. We can go together to Mowe for him to see where I stay. I know where I'm staying right now. It's not temporary. My family, they are all at the village. It's just I that is in that place. It's a shame for me to point out to somebody here that this is where I presently stay. But in as much as I am alive, I still have hope.
Now, Mr. Ojukwu.
Yes, my lord.
And I'll suggest you take the 50 and the 20,000 naira I will keep on paying, but the call to advance 100,000 naira to you out of the money. Then thereafter,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
So 100,000 naira now, then 50 in March thereafter. And if you have anything before March, even if it's 10,000, 5,000, that's the way to go about it. Don't wait to have a large sum of money. The earlier you start offsetting it, the better.
Judge Fumi helps both parties to reach amicable settlement. After the break, Judge Fumi rules.
So this I'll give my judgments. Judgment for the plaintiff for the sum of 380,000 naira. The court to advance 100,000 naira to the plaintiff. And the defendant to pay the sum of 50,000 naira to the plaintiff in March, and thereafter the sum of 20,000 naira on a monthly basis. On the total sum is fully paid. Judgment for the plaintiff.
All rise.
Have you been cheated or have a dispute and want justice? Don't take laws into your hands. Log on to www.thejusticecourt.com and submit your case.